Okay, so for question 4, we have x plus y equals 18 and uh 5y equals x. What is the solution xy to the given system of equations? Well, we know x plus y is 18 and 5y equals x, so we can just plug in 5y for x. So we have 5y plus y equals 18. So we have 6y equals 18. Y is equal to, divide that size by 6, we get y equals 3. If we look at the answer choices, there's only one that can work. 15 3. Okay. Uh, Hold on a second. Uh, okay. Question 5. Okay, so for question 5, it says the point E2 in the xy plane is a solution to which following system of equalities. Well, in this case, it just tells us x and y are greater than or less than 0. So in this case, 8. Well, that means that x is greater than 0, and 2, that means y is also greater than 0, so the correct answer is A. Okay, question 6. Okay, so for question 6, what is one possible solution to the given equation? Well, we have x minus phi absolute value equals 10. So in this case, we have x minus 5 equals 10, and we have x minus 5 equals negative 10. Uh, Let me write those zeros better. So, because if you take the absolute value, that means we have to take the positive and negative value of the other side of the equation. So, if we add 5 to both sides, we get, for the first equation, we get 15 equals x, and for the second equation, we get negative 10 plus 5, which is negative 5, is equal to x. So what is one possible solution for the given equation? Well, you can have entered either of these and they would both have been marked correct on the actual test. So whichever one you want. Okay, question 7. Okay, so for question 7, we have the function gives the total number of people on the company retreat with X managers. What is the total number of people on the company retreat with 7 managers? So we know that X is the number of managers, so we just do 7 times 7 plus 1. So that's 49 plus 1, or 50. So the correct answer is 50. Okay, question 8. Okay, so question 8, which table gives 3 values of x and their corresponding values h of x for the given function h? So we have x squared minus 3. So in this case, we just plug in different values of x to find the value of each of x. So if we plug in 1, we get 1 squared minus 3, which is -2. So nope, yeah, nope, and sure. So it's not near C. And then for 2, these answers have the same 1 value, so that won't help us roll it out. And then for 3, so if we plug in 3, we get 3 squared is 9, minus 3 is 6. So h of x is equal to 6 when x is 3. So that would be this. So the correct answer is B, and it would not be D. Okay, question 9. Okay, so question 9, we have a function f of x equals 270 times 0.1 to the power of x. What is the value of f of 0? Well, f of 0 just means we plug in 0 for x. So anything to the 0th power is always equal to 1. So we have 1 times the original first, which is 270. So the correct answer would just be 270. The answer is D. Okay, question 10. Okay, question 10. To estimate the proportion of a population with a certain characteristic, a random sample was selected. Proportion of population that has the characteristic is 0.49. The margin of error is 0.04. Which of the following is the most appropriate conclusion? Well, we just take what we found and add and subtract the margin of error. So that would just be 0.49 plus or minus 0.04. That would be 0.45 and 0.53. So or we can expect that the real population mean is between those two values. So it is plausible that the proportion is between 0.45 and 0.53. That is correct. And this is incorrect. We would say it is not very plausible. Um, this might not be true. The margin of error means that the sample data might not match exactly with the true population. And with this one, we'd still say the same as this. It's not very plausible. So the correct answer is that it should be between these two values. Okay, question 11. Okay, so for question 11, the moving truck can tow if it's no more than 4,600. So we know that the weight of the trailer is 500 and each box weighs 120, and the combined total has to be 4,600 or less. So in this case, we just do 4,600 minus 500 first. That gets us 4,100. And then we take that, we divide by 120. This gets us 34.1666 feeding. And we're told what is the maximum number of boxes. So we would always have to round down because 35 boxes would always be over the limit. So in this case, the correct answer is A, 34. Okay, question 12. Okay, so question 12. Um, what is the positive solution to the given equation? So you could try graphing this. I'm going to try to solve this by hand. So the first thing we would do is we can add 4x squared minus 7x to the right side of the equation. That would get us 4x squared plus 7x. And then we still have the minus 36 equals 0. So basically, I just took this and added all of this to the right side of the equation. And then we want to create a common factor. So in this case, we have 4. So we need to make this into a common factor of 4. So in this case, we just do 4x squared plus 16x minus. So now we need to get back to 7. So in this case, 16 minus what is 7? So that would be 6 plus 3, which is 9. So we have 16x minus 9x, and we still have minus 36. And so now we can factor out the common factors. So for this first one, it would be 4x as a common factor, and we'd be left with x minus 4. And then for the second side, we would have minus, we can make the common factor 9. So we have negative 9, and we have x. And since we factored out a negative, this would become a positive. So x plus 4. And so now we have the expression. Since both of these are the same, we can just say 4x minus 9 times x minus 4. This would be, or wait, this should be plus. It should be x plus 4, and this should also be x plus 4. So that gets us for x minus 9 and x plus 4. So in that case, we know that the negative solution is at negative 4, and the positive solution would be 4x minus 9 equals 0. So 4x minus 9 equals 0. Add 9 to both sides, and we get 4x equals 9. Divide both sides by 4, and we get x is equal to 9 over 4. So the positive solution is 9 over 4, and the negative solution would be negative 4. So correct answer is B. Okay, question 13. Okay, question 13. Table summarizes the distribution of color and shape for a 100 tiles in your area. If one of these is selected at random, what is the probability of selecting the red tile? So we have red, we have 30 over the total, which is 100, which is also written here. So 30 over 100. which simplifies into 3/10, or you could have also entered it as a decimal, which would be 0.3. Okay, question 14. Okay, so for question 14, for the given function, the graph of y equals fx in the xy plane is parallel to line j. What is the slope of line j? Well, parallel means they both have the same slope. This function has a slope of 2, so line j must also have a slope of 2. So the correct answer is 2. Okay, 15. Okay, so for question 15, for the proposal for a new library was included, blah, blah, blah. 3 times as many people voted in favor as people who voted against it. And we're told that 15,000 more people voted in favor than voted against it. Based on this data, how many people voted against it? Well, in this case, we know that 15,000 more people voted in favor of the proposal. So if we call X the amount of people that voted in favor of the proposal, we'd have to do 15,000 plus X. because it's 15,000 more, not just 15,000. And then so 15,000 plus X is going to be equal to um 3 times as many people voted in favor, so that'll just be 3X. Subtract X from both sides, we get 15,000 is equal to 2X. Divide both sides by 2, and we get X equals 7500. So our answer is K. Okay, question 16. Okay, so question 16. We have lines M and N, which are parallel. We have X is 6K plus 13, and Y is 8K minus 29. What is the value of Z? Well, we know that since these two are opposite angles of a line that intersects another line, we know that these two angles are the same and these two angles are the same. So we can set X and Y equal to each other, or in other words, X is equal to Y. So we have 6K plus 13 is equal to 8K minus 29. And so now we need to solve for K. So in this case, we can subtract 6K from both sides and get 13 is equal to 2K minus 29. Add 29 to both sides, and we get 42 is equal to 2K, or K is equal to 21. And so now, um, since Y and Z are interior opposite angles, it just means that Z would be the same as this. So all of these angles are the same as Z, and we know that This is because this is a line, this will just be equal to 180. So in that case, we have 180 is equal to, we have y, which is 8, we have k is 21, so 21 minus 29 plus z. So we need to find z. So in this case, we multiply 8 times 21 and then subtract 29. That would get us 139. So 139 plus z is equal to 180. If we subtract 139 from both sides of the equation, we'll get z is equal to 41. So the correct answer is z is equal to 41. Our answer is C. Okay, question 17. Okay, so for question 17, given p is a constant, the equation has no solution. What is the value of p? Well, for no solution, we would have to get the left side of the equation equals is some constant which is not equal to the right side of the equation. So for example, if you had some constant value like 74 equals 84, the statement would not be true. So we'd have to get something like that. So in this case, the easiest way to do it is to cancel out all the x's. So we need to get negative 3x plus the way to cancel that out would just be positive 3x. So we know that 21px has to equal positive 3x in order to cancel this out, because then we'll just get 0 is equal to 84. And 0 is equal to 84 is not an accurate solution. So that means that the equation would have no solution. So that's why we know that this has to equal positive 3x. So we divide both sides by 21. I mean, we can actually divide both sides by 21x, and we get p is equal to 3 over 21, which is just 1 over 7. So what is the value of p? The answer is 1 over 7. And choose B. Question 18. Okay, question 18. We have a function f defined by the given equation. For what value of x does f of x reach its minimum? So in this case, well, there's two ways to solve it. You can just find the midpoint between the two, or alternatively, we could find the correct intercept. So in this case, we have x minus 10 and x plus 13. That would just be x minus 10 times x plus 13, which is x squared, negative 10x, 13x, and negative 130, which is just x squared plus 3x minus 130. And then we know that since the x squared is positive, the graph opens upward and reaches a minimum value at its vertex, so like this. And so, in order to find this vertex point, we know that it is going to be negative b over 2a, where a would be the coefficient for the x squared term, b is the coefficient for this term, and c is this. So in this case, we'd have uh, negative 3 over 2 times a is just 1. So we have negative 3 over 2, which was just negative 3 over 2. That's the answer. So answer is D. That is where it reaches the minimum. Okay, question 19. Okay, so for question 19, we're given a function. This is already in vertex form, and we're asked, which of the following is the best interpretation of the vertex of the graph? So in that case, we know that for vertex form, the vertex is just defined by, or let me just write the vertex form. It's just a x minus h squared uh, plus k, and the vertex is at hk. So in this case, the vertex would be at 7, comma 3. So it asks, which of the following is the best interpretation of the vertex of the graph? Well, vertex is always at a minimum or a maximum. So in this case, when it started moving isn't correct. That would be at 0. This is at 7. or t equals 7. And then for the 3, so the minimum height is correct. And then for the 3, it's the amount of ball's height above the ground in inches, X seconds afterwards. So 7 seconds after it started moving, it was 3 inches off the ground. So the minimum height was 3 inches above the ground. Is correct. Answer is A. Okay, question 20. Okay, so for question 20, we have a triangle JKL where we know that J is the right angle. So J, K, and L. We know that cosine of K is 24 over 51, so cosine is adjacent over hypotenuse. So this would be 24. This would be 51. What is the value of cosine of L? Well, in this case, since they're not asking for the side length directly, but they're asking for cosine of it, we can simplify. So we can simplify the side lengths to find a scaled triangle that is smaller, so we have easier numbers to deal with. So in this case, both of these numbers can be divided by 3. So that would get us 24 divided by 3 is 8, and 51 divided by 3 gets us 17. And now to find the last side length, we just do a squared plus b squared equals c squared. So 8 squared plus b squared equals 17 squared. So in this case, we have 64 plus b squared is equal to 289. So we take 289, subtract 64. That gets us 225 equals b squared. We need to take the square root of 225, which is 15. So b is equal to 15. And so we're asked, so this can be 15. So we're asked what is cosine of L. Um, so cosine of L would just be 15 over 17. And it's time. So